Yet silence is not mere absence. It is an architecture of hidden corridors through which power may travel unobstructed. When envoys plead for answers, give them a smile, not a statement, and watch them carry that empty smile back to hostile councils where uncertainty multiplies. Allies, too, respect the leader whose tongue is measured, for what is seldom spoken is valued more than the clamor of constant counsel. In negotiations, the lips that linger before answering turn impatience into concession. Every heartbeat of hesitation lures the opposing party to fill the void with promises, unaware they are bartering against their own desire for closure. Thus, silence conducts the bargain without uttering a bid. Silence also disciplines the self. The heart leaps to boast of plans, but the disciplined sovereign throttles that impulse, understanding that revelation is a debt. Once ambition is confessed, it is owed to the ears that heard it, and betrayal collects the payment. Guard your own thoughts as you would fortress walls. Let none ascend without warrant. The muteness of design allows improvisation when fortune shifts, for words not yet spoken require no apology when strategy turns. Where louder men must justify reversals to save face, the silent commander can pivot without stain, his reputation intact because it was never exposed. In war, silence gathers intelligence. Scouts who observe rather than announce bring home truer maps. In peace, silence gathers allegiance. Subjects trust the ruler who listens, for listening dignifies them even while it arms you with knowledge. Offended adversaries will accuse you of coldness, for nothing chills an enemy like a mouth sealed against provocation. Their grievance is your furnace. Let it burn them into reckless speech that damns them by their own disclosure. Reply with silence, and they supply the world with evidence of their impatience and insecurity. Meanwhile, rumors will swell to fill the vacuum of your public voice, but rumor is a hydra that devours itself when left unfed. Offer no correction. Let whispers chase one another in circles until they collapse from exhaustion. Truth, when finally revealed through decisive action, will thunder louder than any earlier protestation. The power of that thunder is purchased by the long, disciplined quiet that preceded it. Strategy, then, is an hourglass. Grains of silence pile patiently until the moment arrives to invert the glass and let action pour. Silence does not counsel inertia. Rather, it conceals motion until the result is irreversible. The falcon stoops from cloud cover, not from noisy sky. So too must the prince act unseen until the talons close. Guard your intentions with a greater jealousy than you guard your treasures. For intentions are the blueprint of triumph, and the blueprint of triumph must never hang on public walls. When the time for movement comes, breach the hush with a single stroke so conclusive that witnesses cannot remember the moments before it fell. Then, in the stunned quiet that follows victory, retreat again into silence and force the world to interpret the aftermath without assistance from your tongue. Victory is the sovereign exonerator, the baptism that washes every deed clean in the river of success. The crowd kneels before the accomplished fact, not before moral scruples, for people measure rulers by the weight of their crowns, not by the polish of their consciences. Understand, then, that the pathway to power is a terrain of shifting mud and hidden briars where gentility sinks and candor bleeds. If triumph is the destination, any road that reaches it becomes, in retrospect, the royal highway. After the battle, chroniclers will invent motives to ennoble your harshest choices, and the masses will repeat those motives until they harden into legend. History is a court that tries the vanquished for crimes that the victors commit in equal measure. Therefore seize the bench before the gavel falls. Your actions, once draped in the mantle of success, will pass inspection like coins whose metal is assumed pure because the mint has stamped your face upon them. To internalize this principle, strangle the habit of apology. Apology is confession, and confession places your fate in the hands of those who crave the spectacle of contrition more than justice. Speak not of right or wrong while the contest endures. Speak only of necessity. Necessity is a steel shield that glints in the sun and blinds those who stare. Claim necessity, and you recruit the very forces that oppose you, for all mortals imagine their own deeds are compelled. If questioned, reply that the times themselves dictated your measures. For who can punish the weather? When doubts gather like ravens, unleash a decisive outcome, and the carrion birds will wheel away in search of weaker prey. The moralist will choke on these truths, yet even he drinks water from a well dug by conquerors whose spades were sharpened by ambition. Laws themselves are the residue of victories, written by hands still red from the struggle. Do not hesitate, therefore, to tarnish your hands. The ink of future decrees will mask the stain. One stroke of force achieves more than 100 consultations of conscience, and the world forgets the stroke the moment peace and plenty blossom from its impact. People crave security like infants crave milk. Once you have filled their bowls, they will tuck away questions about whose grain you confiscated to grind the flour. Moreover, winning is not merely the end of contest, it is the beginning of reverence. The populace regards success as proof of fitness. A captain who returns with spoils can justify any stratagem to the men who now swagger behind his banner. Should you, in the ascent, break treaties or trample protocols, remember that no parchment bleeds and no etiquette stands guard with a spear. Only the living can seek revenge, and the alive respect the throne more than they cherish bygone signatures. Offer them new rewards, and they will forget the old injuries. Offer them stability, and they will curse the rebels who remind them of instability's cost. Thus the triumph not only pardons past severity, but converts it into future currency, legal tender in the marketplace of loyalty. Guard, however, against half victories, for an unfinished conquest is a mirror that reflects the ugliness of methods without the halo of results. Strike swiftly and completely. Leave opponents no perch from which to accuse you. The louder the survivor's lament, the greater the risk that your manner, once justified, will be weighed anew. Best leave no survivors of influence. Silence their tongues by removing their podiums. Silence their memories by confiscating their chronicles. Silence their hairs by binding them with honors that make rebellion unprofitable. When the last dissenting voice has been folded into your chorus, the harshest deed softens into folklore, then into myth, and finally into an anecdote told with a shrug at feasts you preside over. The future will recite your harshness as necessary, your guile as foresight, your violence as the birth pangs of the order they inherited and now treasure. In private, steel yourself against remorse, for remorse is a ghost that rattles chains only you can hear. The people will sleep soundly under the canopy woven by your victory. Let their dreams be your absolution. Should doubts haunt the still nights, recall that hesitation would have condemned them to louder nightmares under weaker rule. The shepherd who slaughters the wolf secures the flock. Whether the blade gleamed mercifully or cruelly matters. Less than the fleece now uncontaminated by blood, a fortress flaunted invites siege. A fortress disguised as ruined debtors, even curious trespass. The art of feigned fragility is therefore the prince's invisible armor, warding off assault until the hour arrives to shatter the unsuspecting with force. Imagine a bowman who loosens the string and lowers his aim. The enemy laughs, believing the arrow will fall short, then steps forward into the hidden range of the shaft. So must you slacken the string of your reputation. Wear garments frayed at the cuff. Admit to harmless errors. Let minor setbacks circulate like rumors of your ineptitude, and you cede the conviction that you pose no threat. In council, defer to louder voices. In public, confess a measure of doubt. Display on occasion a trembling hand. Each gesture is a thread woven into the tapestry of false impotence, and the completed tapestry hangs before your rivals, lulling them with its portrait of manageable weakness. Yet weakness is merely the mask. Beneath, the sinew must remain taut. While you concede trivial victories, hoard the substantive ones in secrecy. Allow a rival to win a border village, while you negotiate the allegiance of its governor's heir. Hand over a concession in trade, while quietly acquiring the sea routes that render the opponent's cargo useless. Every session is a cloak for an unseen gain, and the ledger balances not in public tallies, but in hidden account books whose ink only you may read. As your enemies grow fat on the feast you set before them, they slow with complacency. A lion that feeds daily on easy prey forgets the tension of the hunt. Its muscles soften. Then, when the banquet lulls them into stupor, you unveil the banquet hall's true purpose. The slaughterhouse, Cultivate spies who imitate your outward meekness, so that intelligence flows to you unimpeded. A servant who appears timid receives confidences, for men confide in those they pity or underestimate. The guard whose armor bears dents no smith, bothered to hammer out, will hear boasting tongues at taverns, tongues that would stiffen at the sight of polished breastplates. Feed these tales into your hidden arsenal of knowledge. When the hour signals, you will strike not with random violence, but with precision carved from unguarded disclosures. To strike strong is not merely to strike hard, it is to strike exactly where strength was misjudged and defense neglected. Timing is the hinge upon which the strategy swings. A blow too soon exposes the blade before it rests upon the vulnerable vein. A blow too late grants the victim time to dun mail. Patience distills power, condensing every humiliation suffered, every sneer endured, into a single point of pressure capable of shattering bone. The moment to reveal your strength is the moment when laughter around you is fullest, for laughter bows the head and uncurls vigilance. Let the banquet roar, let goblets clatter, then silence the hall with the clang of your command. Those who echoed mockery will hear it rebound against stone walls now echoing with your ascendancy. But be warned, the revelation of power must be absolute. Partial strength invites recalculation, absolute strength freezes thought. When you finally unsheathe, leave no doubt that the earlier weakness was illusion. Burn bridges, topple parapets, seize the herald's trumpet so only your victory note can sound. The sudden blaze of dominance blinds as surely as midday sun bursting through cloud. Survivors, if you permit any, will recount the transformation with awe, amplifying the legend of your metamorphosis, and what is legendary becomes deterrent. Future foes, schooled by that legend, will hesitate, and hesitation is shackles you fasten upon them without lifting a finger. After the strike, withdraw again behind the fart aid, not of weakness this time, but of restful moderation. Display magnanimity, distribute rewards, commend the courage of those you defeated. Acts that suggest your power lies dormant, not depleted. While they nurse the illusion that your energy has subsided, you replenish your stores, sharpen your weapons, and plot anew. The cycle of appearing weak and striking strong is a wheel that turns kingdoms beneath it. Every revolution presses your authority deeper into the earth, engraving it as the natural order. Let spectators puzzle over the contradiction between your reputed frailty and the wreckage your hands leave behind. Mystery is mortar. Each unanswered question mortars another brick in the wall of your invincibility. Power does not rest solely in the sword's edge or the fortress walls. It rests in the tale told afterward, the story whispered in courts, sung in the streets, etched into the minds of those who never saw the battle, but live under its result. To win is to rule, but to speak of the victory is to rule minds, to shape memory, to imprison the past within a version that serves the victor's future. The conquest may be brief, but the narrative is eternal. A ruler who allows others to tell the tale of his triumph has only half won. He leaves his enemy alive in the imagination, which is more dangerous than the body left breathing. Therefore, once the victory is complete and the throne secured, let no tongue wag freely. Seize the scroll, direct the scribes, and forge the past as a blacksmith shapes the crown. Do not recount events as they were, but as they must be seen. The people do not crave truth. They crave order, resolution, a tale with a hero and a villain, with treachery punished and loyalty rewarded. Make yourself the necessary hero, the reluctant but righteous bearer of fate's burden, the prince who struck only when no other path remained. Portray your enemies not merely as wrong, but as disruptors of peace, enemies not of you but of the people, of the heavens, of harmony itself. In this way, any who mourn their fall will not be seen as noble dissenters, but as fools clinging to chaos. Rewrite their virtues as masks, their alliances as conspiracies, their resistance as madness. The pen will make monsters of them, even as the soil covers their corpses. Reward poets more than generals. A poem outlives a campaign. A statue raised in your image will stand long after the last veteran has limped to his grave. Let the artist paint you not as you are, but as the people need you to be. Give them your silence and they will fill it with legend. Circulate only those paintings, only those songs, Only those accounts which render your rise as inevitable and wise. Suppress the others not through clumsy censorship, but by drowning them in a flood of your own tale. Make the official version so abundant, so repeated, that dissenting versions seem like drunken ramblings or treasonous gossip. Hold ceremonies, build monuments, rename streets and cities, not to glorify vanity, but to embed the victory into the landscape. Let every traveler walk through your story as he moves from place to place. Let children grow up beneath statues that define you before they can read dissent. The present must reflect your past as a mirror reflects the sun, casting light upon every corner that once hid doubt. Every new law, every celebration, every public act must echo the justification for your rise. Make it so that questioning your ascent feels like questioning the very ground beneath one's feet. Your enemies, if they escape death, must be silenced not only by fear but by irrelevance. Strip them of titles, erase their names from records, or better yet, recast their images into caricatures that evoke laughter instead of sympathy. If they speak, let their words fall upon a populace already convinced of their guilt. Give them no audience. In exile, their words should seem foreign. If they are dead, let no martyrdom arise. Bury them in forgettable graves and drown their causes in fabricated scandals. The defeated must become a warning, not an inspiration. Even among allies, ensure that your version of events becomes their creed. Reward only those who parrot the tale with enthusiasm. Allow no neutral ground in history. Neutrality is a silence the next enemy may exploit. Bind your followers to your memory, so that your reign is both the present they benefit from and the past they owe. Let no general say, "I won it for him," but teach him to say, "He commanded it into being." In this way, their ambition becomes tethered to your legend, and your legend becomes immune to the rot of time. Do not leave the task to historians. Historians are dangerous if left unchained. They are merchants of nuance, and nuance is poison to power. Instead, instruct them, reward them, shape them. A history that flatters is worth more than a treasury full of unloyal silver. The people may forget the facts, but they will remember the image, the tale, the tone. And from this remembered tale, they will derive their loyalties, their fears, their beliefs about what is possible and who is permitted to rise. A ruler who loses the narrative will find himself fighting ghosts, and ghosts cannot be stabbed or bribed. Therefore speak after the victory, but speak last, and speak so completely that none dare speak after you. In the realm of power, it is not the loudest voice that endures, but the most calculated silence, not the fairest method, but the most effective strike, not the honest appearance, but the deceptive mask, not the true event, but the story carved into memory. To rule is not merely to ascend, it is to design the ascent so thoroughly that none recall a different path. Let others cry out, plead, moralize, or recount. Your task is to win, and then to shape the world so that your victory becomes nature itself, unchallenged, unquestioned, inevitable. Speak only to command, move only to dominate. Rewrite not only laws but reality. The wise do not beg for virtue, they take the throne and redefine it.